Good evening and welcome to the May 27th, 2025 City Council Roundtable meeting. I am Mayor Ross and tonight's meeting is brought to you live using video conferencing technology provided by Zoom. Tonight's recording will be posted on the city's YouTube channel. City Clerk Dean, would you please take the roll?
Councilmember Benson,
Here.
Councilmember Watton,
Here.
Councilmember Holloway,
Here.
Councilmember Washington,
Here.
Councilmember Cotton,
Here.
Councilmember Christensen, here, Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
and Mayor Ross.
I am here, so all council members are present. Now we move to our first item of business, which is to approve the agenda, which is an executive session this evening. Council may have a motion to approve the roundtable agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Washington, second by Councilor Christensen. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those that approve, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And the agenda is approved. Tonight, we have two executive sessions pursuant to RCW 42.30.110(1)I to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to potential litigation lasting approximately 45 minutes. Those attending will be City Attorney Dina Burke and City Administrator Mike Chambliss. And so it'll last until approximately 6:45. No action is anticipated following conclusion of the executive session. Recording the meeting will pause. Council will return to the open session just prior to our regular meeting starting at 7 p.m. So with that, we will actually stay in the room and have our executive session. Then we'll come back by 7 o'clock. Thank you. Right. Council, this brings us to our regular meeting of the City Council. We just completed our roundtable meeting and time is now 7 p.m. So let the record show that all council is present. Council will please stand and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And Councilor Christensen, would you please lead the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We now go to our first item of regular business, which is to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
We move by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway and second by Councilor Johnson. Any discussion? Mayor Pro Tem Holloway?
I motion to move the claims report out of consent and take that down to the F&A portion of the agenda.
Second.
We've been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, second by Councilor Christensen to move claims. It actually be following the consent agenda.
Does that require a vote?
No, really no.
And actually, you're right. You could just move it automatically. So it would go,
Yeah, any council member can do it.
okay. Any other item? I think you were going to remove one item.
Ceremony.
Yeah, motion to remove, where'd it go?
Right there.
Ceremonial oath of office for police officers Jaden Hall and Chase Holmes.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway and second by Councilor Johnson to remove the oath of office for this evening. Any other comments? Councilor Johnson?
I believe that we talked about adding an executive session.
And it is already in the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
We got
it's
that.
already part of it. Anything else? All right. So all in favor of removing the oath of office, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And going back to approve the whole agenda, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And the agenda is approved as amended. So the first item that we have is EMS Week. It was officially May 18th to the 24th, and this was posted on our website last week. But we'd like to publicly recognize and thank our emergency service providers and first responders. And so whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of the emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas the emergency medical services system consists of trained members of the community, first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, dispatchers, emergency nurses, emergency physicians, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. So I, Catherine Ross, Mayor of the City of Snoqualmie, do hereby proclaim May 18th to 24th Emergency Medical Services Week. And you can read the full proclamation online. We do have our Chief Bailey here to say a few words.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to take a moment to recognize the dedicated men and women of the Snoqualmie Fire Department. We currently have 16 career and 11 volunteer EMTs working for the city. These individuals are highly trained, compassionate, and ready to serve you at your worst or scariest moment. They spend hundreds of hours a year perfecting their craft through continued education, working on practical skills, and staying abreast of trends and new emerging technologies in the industry. They are ready to respond 24/7, no matter the call, whether it's the mundane to the traumatic or chaotic. So I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank all our team members at the fire department for what they do, and especially the ones that are here tonight. So thank you. Join me around applause for the crew that are here.
I think we will get a group picture.
Please.
I know, I didn't.
Council
leave
or
the
with the
picture on
mayor?
front. Yeah. Smoke investigation.
You're right. Nobody wants you in a picture.
I don't know, the mustache goes in front. No. Yeah, the mustache goes. Oh, yeah.
With the EMS guys that saved me
Right
from
on
a
the foot.
life-threatening finger injury.
There we go.
Oh, this is that work?
The girl on the other side,
Martha.
Martha, yeah.
Martha and Nick.
And the kid with the mustache.
Where'd they take you?
They took me to Overlake.
Not us.
No, they took me to Overlake, says, they said it was.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. You're number one, you're number 3/4.
Next item is National Public Works Week. So National Public Works Week was officially May 18th and 24th. We posted this also on the website last week, but we want to recognize publicly thank you to our public works staff and all the public works professionals. So whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the residents of Snoqualmie. And these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without dedicated efforts of our public works professionals who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our residents. And it is in the public interest for all residents of Snoqualmie to gain knowledge and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works. So last week was National Public Works Week. We do have Jeff Hamlin, Parks and Public Works Director, to say a few words.
Well, thank you, folks. I just wrote down a couple notes just to convey to you about the Public Works staff and our Public Works Department. I do appreciate the opportunity to have this opportunity to talk about our staff. I'm immensely proud of them and the work that they do. As you know, our folks, they tend to avoid the limelight. We bring them in from time to time and you can watch them squirm up here. They hate it. But it's not that they don't want to do this. I think they never say so, but I think they appreciate being able to come up and present because you get to know them and you get to appreciate what it is that they do. And I think that that's important for them. If we're doing it right, if we're doing everything well, you don't really notice the public works staff, right? I mean, they're kind of invisible. They drive around in the white trucks and they take care of things. And when things are going well, they're almost invisible. But when things do go wrong, there's disasters. We have windstorms and snowstorms. We have pipes that break in the middle of the night. Our guys will spring into action, sometimes in heroic fashion. They will do amazing things. And they will work in all conditions, day and night, hottest day of the year, the coldest day of the year. They're out there working in it all day long. And they do it mostly with a smile on their face. And they care. And that's one of the things that I want you to know is how much these folks care about what they do. They care about public service. And they want you to know that they care. And that is kind of why we like to bring them up here so that you can see them, and why I think these kind of events are really important, because it lets them know that they're appreciated. And one of my most difficult jobs, and I think for all of us as leaders, is to motivate our staff to continue to do the things, sometimes repetitive, difficult, manual labor, the things that they do every day, day after day, and to get them to come in and get out of bed and care. Right. So without your support, without your engagement and your understanding, it would be so much more difficult and we wouldn't nearly be as effective. So for that support, I thank you. And I want to let you know how much we appreciate it. Thanks.
So thank you.
Much.
We have two persons from Public Works here.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry.
Councilor Cotton.
I just wanted to say, it's been a privilege to be part of the Public Works Committee and learn more about what goes on behind the scenes. Coming from the other side of the spectrum, where with the involvement with police and fire, which are the very visible everyday heroes as well. However, as I've said many times to the Parks and Public Works folks, they are the unsung heroes that don't get the recognition and the pictures in the paper and all those kinds of things. So I think anytime we can say thank you to our Public Works team, it's always greatly appreciated.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilor Watton.
Thank you much, Mayor. I want to point out, we have two guests in the audience tonight, and they're with Troop 1776, the Scoutmaster, Tim Luck. And Tim has been involved in our affordable housing task force for a couple of years, and his son Robbie, who's working on his communications merit badge. So be on your best behavior this evening, council. So thank you much for being here and the service to the community.
Thank you for joining us. So at this point, we have a chance for public comment. We provide for residents to comment on items not on the agenda. No online public comments will be accepted during this meeting. Written comments are encouraged and may be submitted in person or by mail or email to cityclerk@snoqualmiewad.gov. So before I go into the ground rules, is there anyone in city chambers that would like to say public comment?
It's your chance. No pressure.
Seeing none, then we will close public comment and move on to the consent agenda. And there's only one item on the consent agenda, which is to approve the city council meeting minutes dated May 12th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved?
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Washington and second by Councilor Johnson. Is there any public comment regarding this item? Seeing none, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? It's unanimous and the consent agenda is approved. So items that are removed from the consent agenda shall be added to the meeting agenda order of business immediately following the consent agenda, which is the approval of the claims report dated May 27th, 2025. So may I have, so any public comment regarding this item? Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve claims report dated May 27th for the period of April 7th through May 13th, 2025. May I
Second.
have a second?
Been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway and second by Councilor Christensen. Any discussion? Mayor Pro Tem Holloway?
In the last section of the report, there was a format error, which can make, the reading of names and payees, in some of the claim reports, confusing. Finance Director has provided us a substitute correcting that format error. I would like to, I motion to substitute the revised claims report for the one that is currently in the agenda. May I have a second?
Second.
Been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway and second by Councilor Christensen to substitute the revised claim report. Is there any discussion regarding that? Councilor Johnson?
Only one small thing, just curious where this could have overlap with things like, I think it's called like Scrivener's errors or something like that. I support the motion. I intend to vote for it, but just curious on that front. At what point is something that kind of minute versus requiring a change?
The numbers weren't lined up, was that correct?
This is for future reference, I suppose.
We hear from our Finance Director, Drew Boutet.
So when we initially produced the claims approval report, we were attempting to redact a particular name out of the advice register on page 2. What that did is that shifted the names basically to the point where you do see names on multiple lines for the most part, which shouldn't necessarily happen. As a consequence of that, the names don't line up perfectly with the dollar amounts. What we've substituted, what we're requesting to substitute is we're leaving the dollar amounts where they are. We just want to make sure that the names align with the proper dollar amounts basically overall. So there isn't anything really substantive that's changing overall. It's just making the readability, I think, of the document and the advice register easier for everyone, especially in the future. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilor Benson?
Seems like that feature also, or bug, also has the benefit of making sure that we indicate where we've had to redact something. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is valuable.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? So the motion is to substitute. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And getting back to the original of the claims report, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? It's unanimous, and the claims report is approved as substituted. Okay, next item is AB 25-035, ordinance amending SMC titles 17.20 and 17.37. This is the second reading of ordinance 1307, or excuse me, 1306. Councilor Washington, would you please read the introduction and motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. This agenda item is associated with proposed amendments to the city's downtown historic district retail overlay zone, including waivers for special use regulation, the percentage of required retail use in the downtown, the geographic extent of the retail overlay boundaries, and the percentage of covered storefront window usage. Proposed motion is moved to adopt ordinance 1306, amending various sections of chapter 17.20 and chapter 17.37 for the Snoqualmie Municipal Code to amend retail use requirements in the downtown historic district retail use overlay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Washington, second by Councilor Johnson. Is there any discussion? First of all, any public comment regarding this item? Seeing none, any discussion? Mayor Pro Tem Holloway?
So I guess I'm still troubled that this one raises the percentage, which may be a good thing over time, but this enacts it immediately with no chance of a waiver discussion. Given pandemics and other things that may occur, there may be cause for a waiver request. And to say carte blanche, no, I have a hard time with that. I agree with the increasing of the percentages. I just, I have a hard time with the hard line that says, no, you're gonna hit 90% and that's it.
So we do have our city, Wanda Davis, our Community Development Director, if you have any questions for her. Councilor Johnson?
And I very strongly feel the same way. If I thought that there was a way out of it, then I would, I mean, we did look as hard as we could to find a way out of that issue. So when I first sent a draft ordinance in October of 2022 to Bob Sturbank, our city attorney at the time, recommending that we have a change to the code so that we could address some of the issues that were going on Center, that kind of kicked off the more serious effort all the way back then to get this done. And in that draft ordinance, what it specifically says is appeal to the city council. But in the intervening time, we have had several city attorneys, also Bob Sturbank hadn't reviewed it at the time. So that was my first draft saying, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know any of this stuff, so please help me out with this. We've had multiple city attorneys in the intervening time essentially tell the council these are the kinds of decisions that council really shouldn't be involved in. That there's some other neutral third party that should. And the issue that came up on from the Planning Commission and how they made the difficult decision to go down this road, which they didn't want to go down either, was that the entity that be appealed to wouldn't have necessarily the interests in of the vibe of the town, for lack of a scientific term, which is definitely not code language that we could use. That business doesn't fit the vibe. Yeah, that what could very easily happen is that we could be in the same situation that we would technically be in right now with Center, where essentially they check whatever boxes that we put in front of the building owner, and it's a fairly low bar, and trying to find a bar that was high enough that wouldn't be able to be easily skirted didn't seem to be a viable option from the Planning Commission. And so, yeah, it's a frustrating situation with regard to the waivers, and if I saw a better way, I would be happy to go that route. But not seeing one, this is the avenue that I think is best.
Councilor Watton?
I think one of the concerns, and we need to keep this in mind, was the waiver was at the discretion of the community development director. And it was felt that perhaps that should be more a legislative decision-making by an elected body to step in those instances. But it is a very valid one, is who should have, if that's necessary, and the point of that happening or being engaged was 120 days. I mean, if you're looking to perhaps amend it and say, okay, after 180 days or whatever it might be, then it comes to the council. I mean, I guess that would be maybe one piece. And the other one that you raise, and is 90% the right place to land? Because currently it's 75% in downtown, 100% on the corners, not the entire street, just the corners. So just keep that in mind.
Did you have any questions for our Community Development Director? Or do you have any comments?
I could make a comment if you don't have any questions, because I've had to kind of go back and research this myself to better understand. And it's my understanding that the whole idea of the overlay is to promote a walkable retail downtown Center Boulevard. And so we want the retail there, which is why we upped the increase. We removed the waivers because our city attorney advised us that that could be kind of arbitrary on who was the one to authorize that. And it put, the council members, the planning commission, the city or the community development director at risk by making those decisions. And so he recommended that it was better to just remove the waiver altogether. I think we discussed at the last meeting that we could try it for a while. And if the 90% was too hard to meet, we could always come back and revisit this and change the code in the future.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Holloway.
Okay, I have. Guys, we don't make 90-day codes. These codes live beyond us. So I have a hard time of saying, let's try it for a little period of time, see how it is, because it's now in the code. Okay? Also, if it becomes a political or legislative decision, that is what elected officials are for. Okay? So if we feel it's not a procedural or jurisdiction question, there's got to be a better way. And I'm reluctant to dictate it here, but I'm really reluctant to put in the code 100% or 90% and no waiver, because what I want is businesses in there. And I do not want to get to the condition where I have vacant stores. If I have a downturn in the economy, which particularly hits retail, I'll get a bunch of vacant stores where I may be able to put services in there. So there's got to be some flexibility here. Having it black and white, no, long-term, it will cause problem as world evolves and situation changes. So I can't vote for this.
Any other comments? Councilor Cotton?
Excuse me, question. It was my understanding, and please correct me if I'm incorrect in this, is that the merchants associations did have input into this.
I believe so, yes. And there were
So-
plenty of public hearings at the planning
Right,
commission
right.
level, yes.
And I know that the downtown merchants, definitely, the chair and such, they do attend a lot of the meetings. And that currently, right now, we are at 90% for retail in the downtown district. And so I just want to make sure that my understanding is correct on that. And that the next step is really to get the multi-use up on the Center Street part of things. Is that correct?
The Center Street, the Center Boulevard
Boulevard.
will also have the 90% apply. Right now, it only has the major corners of the intersections that apply. I'm not sure what the percentage is up on Center, but I know that I think we're at 75% right now down on Railroad in the historic downtown. So I don't think we're at 90% now.
Okay. Yeah, because I know we do have some services in the core area that
Yes.
but the other
that are not
retailers aren't.
retail.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And some of this did spur from the Economic Development Commission as well. So there's a lot of discussion there, and then Planning Commission and Community Development. So it's been through quite a few commissions.
That's what I thought.
Right. Any other comments or questions? Right, moving to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
Who is second, nay? So passes 5-2 with Councilor Benson and Mayor Pro Tem Holloway voting no. Okay, moving on to public safety. Our first item is the fire department first quarter accreditation report. And this is for information only. You can find it in your packet for you to read later. But we do have Chief Bailey, if you have any questions regarding this. None, okay. Is there any further report for Public Safety Committee?
I would like Chief Bailey to come forward and give us an update on a big new red truck and just kind of a glimpse into the future that is coming. It's always fun when we have new equipment arriving.
Sure, just to talk about our new engine. As you may have, if you've perused the quarterly report, the picture on the front was the new engine. It was taken a couple weeks ago when the team was down in Yakima to check it over. So it's back from the manufacturing plant, which was in Louisiana, driven back to Yakima. I believe it was about 2 months ago. They've been working on little items that needed to be corrected, things that were, as you remember, we ordered this vehicle over almost 2 years ago. So some things have changed, some needs have changed. So we had a few minor adjustments that were made on the engine. They were working on those. It's set to be delivered to the city on June 2nd is when they're going to be bringing it to us. I actually had a chance to see it last week. I was at a conference in Kennewick, and they actually brought it down to the vendors show. It was the Washington State Fire Chiefs Conference, and the dealer, if you want, easiest way to describe it, brought it over to show it off to people at the convention. Got a lot of great comments on it. It's a really nice looking rig. Really excited to get it out here. The plan, like I said, is to have it here June 2nd, and then it still has to, we have to go through and outfit it, make sure a lot of the equipment from the old engine that is going to be going out of service will be going on the new engine. We got to put a lot of brackets, things like that, get radios put in, and we have to train the crews on it. So once it does arrive, it's still probably going to be at least a month or two before it's actually responding on calls once everybody gets trained up on it. And then later this month, we're gonna be able to get opportunity to show it off to the public, which you'll hear a little bit later, a little bit more about later this evening.
All right. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Right. Moving on, next item is AB 25-064, River Trail Property Acquisition. And Councilor Washington, would you please read the introduction and motion?
Parcel identification number 7849200455, addressed at 7802 Railroad Avenue Southeast, Snoqualmie, Washington, 98065, is identified on the Riverwalk acquisition status map as a remaining potential riverfront acquisition parcel. The city continues to assemble properties to construct a formalized, non-motorized trail that follows the edge of the Snoqualmie River through the downtown historic business district. The property owner of parcel number mentioned above would like to facilitate a voluntary purchase and sell agreement to sell the property to the city. Proposed motion is to adopt resolution 1717, authorizing the mayor to execute a purchase and sell agreement to purchase real property associated with the city river trail.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Washington and second by Councilor Watton. Is there any public comment regarding those items? Seeing none. We do have our Community Development Director, Mona Davis, and Budget Manager, Jana Walker, here to answer any questions. Mayor Pro Tem Holloway.
I assume the appraised value and comps were 360 per the original
That's
offer?
correct.
Okay, and we're doing $45,000 over that?
Correct.
It will be the intent to provide others, I can't do the math real quick, but let's just say 15% plus on the appraised value for future offers?
Sub 15.
Well, okay, 10%. We're gonna, on future acquisitions, are we gonna do 10% over?
I think it's like 12%, isn't it?
It's a 12% increase. We made an initial offer of the appraised value. The applicant counter offered with the 12% increase, which we're bringing back for consideration. I don't think there would be anything set in stone that we would then continue forward, always offering more than the appraised value. But this appraisal came in relatively low because of the shape of the property. So the 12% increase seemed fair. We ran this through the Conservation Futures and King County Flood Control. So I'm happy, if you'd like to know more about the budget, Jan is here, but this is a counter offer that the applicant has then agreed to. They wanted much more, but we tried to keep it low because we don't want to go much over the appraised value.
Councilor Johnson.
So two things. First, the appraised value, I believe, was actually somewhere around 460 or something like that, technically. Now, there was about $100,000 reduction for property maintenance or something like that, which we wouldn't be doing anyway. But um, the but the other thing was that I learned in our committee meeting about something that I was not aware of. Apparently, there is something like this 10% rule that if it's within 10%, then you can go above by that amount without it being a gift of public funds or something like that. And in the question to King County, right? Yeah. They said that 12% rounds down to 10% effectively. That's my understanding. So yeah, I have a very similar concern, and I think that I was the one who was like, I really don't think this should go to consent because of this issue. I would have asked the exact same questions, because it does seem a little bit like fuzzy math. That said, because it's such a small amount, relatively speaking, the big scheme of things, and it's not our money. This is coming from, what's the original?
Conservation
sources.
Yeah,
future
that.
tax
Blood
and
control.
flood
Flood control, right?
right? Yeah.
Yeah, that I'm okay with this, but definitely I would be concerned about a pattern like this emerging as well. So I definitely appreciate the concern. I am fairly satisfied by the answer, but satisfied nonetheless.
Counselor Benson?
As one who is hopeful that we will get more of these funds to work with, I want to make sure that we're always very careful with those funds, regardless of the fact that they aren't
Sure.
originating in Snoqualmie. But it sounds from the story that I'm hearing that we're actually getting something of a discount on this property because of the condition of it. And
Mhm.
if it had been in better condition, we might be paying more than we're currently paying. So it sounds like we might be getting a good deal here. So.
Right. Any other comments or questions?
So,
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway?
so yes, as a councilman of City of Snoqualmie, this is not our money. As a taxpayer, this is our money. Okay, and we should be spending appropriately, even if it's not directly city money. I know I'm probably doing a nit, but I'd be more comfortable at a 10% versus 12.5% increase, considering the discussion that 10% is de minimis. I have a hard time overdoing paying extra of public funds.
And I believe we did approach them on 10%.
Yes,
Is that correct? Right?
this was their counter offer. They did.
Well, they actually wanted quite a bit higher, but then we talked about the appraisal, and again, it was $100,000 that was removed because of the shape of the property as compared to the appraisal, compared to the all the other properties around it. Yeah, $100,000 for deferred maintenance. So. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
So we have 6 ayes and 1 opposed by Mayor Pro Tem Highway for but it passes, River Trail property acquisition. Any other report for Community Development Committee?
Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Nothing at this time, Madam Mayor.
Great, thank you. Parks and Public Works Committee, AB 25-059, selecting RH2 for construction management services for the reclaimed water distribution system improvements project. Counselor Benson, would you please read the introduction and motion?
This agenda bill seeks to approve amendment number 3, selecting RH2 to provide construction management services for the reclaimed water distribution system improvements project scheduled to begin construction this spring. The project is funded through a low-interest loan received from the Department of Ecology Clean Water State Revolving Fund. The improvements will upgrade the aging reclaimed water distribution system and bring it into compliance with current state standards. Move to adopt Resolution 1718, selecting and authorizing the execution of a contract amendment for engineering services with RH2 Engineering to provide construction management and inspection services for the Reclaimed Water Distribution System Improvements Project and authorizing the mayor to sign.
Second.
It's been moved by Counselor Benson and seconded by Counselor Washington. Is there any public comment regarding this item? Seeing none, we do have our project engineer, Andrew Vining, here to answer questions. Council, do you have any questions or any discussion? Counselor Christensen?
Are we still on track to complete the project prior to June 30th of 2026?
We are on track. We had a pre-construction meeting last week and the contractor's mobilizing on site this week. And their construction schedule actually shows them completing in advance of the June 30th deadline.
If we did not, may I ask?
Yes.
If we did not go forward with the contract here, I'm assuming we would not be on track to make that June 30th deadline. Is that accurate?
That's right. The scope presented in this contract amendment was narrowed down. We have a consultant on site 3 days a week as opposed to a full-time consultant. We've also brought in-house some of the tasks, including O&M reporting and SCADA. So this is really the minimum scope needed to advance this project through completion to that June 30th, 2026 date deadline.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none? Move to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? And the motion passes unanimously and selecting RH2 for construction management services for the reclaimed water distribution system. Thank you. Any further report for Parks and Public Works Committee?
Not that I remember. It feels like a year since we had a meeting. Is there anything I'm forgetting? No? All right. They're doing a bang up job. I think we should proclaim a week just to celebrate these guys.
I agree.
How about last week?
I agree. Last week works. Thank you. Any report from Finance and Administration Committee?
No additional report.
All right. So we have the mayor's report. So upcoming State Route 18 will be fully closed in both directions at the I-90 interchange. So underneath I-90 from 9 p.m. Thursday, May 29th through 5 a.m. Wednesday, June 4th, weather permitting. No traffic will be allowed beneath the I-90 bridges during this time, but they are maintaining access for emergency responders, the Snoqualmie Valley School District, and Sound Transit buses. Reminder, the National Community Survey was sent out to randomly selected households to gather residents' input on strategic planning initiatives, how the city's doing in the different areas, and trying to align the goals with our priorities. So all residents will also have the opportunity to share their input when the survey opens to the entire community in mid-June. So please encourage residents to take this opportunity to provide their input. June 6th, we're going to have the splash pad opening at the Snoqualmie Community Park and starting at 2 p.m. So hopefully we'll see a lot of residents there. Be sure to add to your calendars on June 14th, we will celebrate the fire station's 20th anniversary and roll out the new fire engine. So we'll have more information to come. Council, I've been visiting nonprofits, organizations that provide services to our residents. City Clerk Dean has been accompanying me. We visited Mama's Hands, which provides a safe family-centered home for at-risk mothers and children fleeing crisis situations like poverty, domestic violence, and trafficking. They are always looking for volunteers, and you can learn more about how to volunteer based on their website. So if you want to volunteer, please visit it at. We also visited the Snoqualmie Valley Food Bank. With increasing housing and grocery costs, they've seen a 20% increase over last year, and 1/3 of them are clients or seniors. So the proposed cuts, there's several different cuts that they're being hit on. One is federal level is SNAP. They've seen, let's see, the federal level SNAP have been cut. They've also had Kid Vantage, which was Eastside Baby Corner, advising that they could no longer provide formula and diapers. So they have a huge need there. And then Northwest Harvest last year stated they can no longer provide food to the Snoqualmie Valley. So they're focusing on other areas. So, you know, if you can do donations or food drives, we really need to help them with those, the gap in the resources for a lot of our community. So we're hoping to probably have some food drives coming up. Is there anyone attending the AWC annual conference in June? Okay. If you do, let me know, because we do need to assign a city delegate. Otherwise, I'll probably attend it online. So that's all I have for the mayor's report. So, next item is commission and committee liaison reports. Do we have any updates? Councilor Watton?
Thank you. First of all, I want to acknowledge, because I did this earlier, we have the Assistant Scoutmaster and Hospital Commissioner Jen Carter from 1776, along with her son attending. So welcome.
Okay.
Couple things. I attended the Economic Development Commission meeting earlier this month. They had a presentation from Two Rivers Big Picture High School on their internship program, and they are working on their business visitation questionnaire. So those things are upcoming. And the other exciting thing, and that came through the EDC, and that's there is going to be a refresh to snowvalleyjobs.com thanks to a grant from Department of Commerce. And it is going to be stellar. I saw the new website, and I won't have to be operating it at night, refreshing it. It'll actually do its own thing. And then there's also the expansion of the Snow Valley Innovation Center, and there's a new website coming that'll be very business friendly. It will help startups and existing businesses access resources through Snow Valley Innovation Center and the Snow Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Excellent. Thank you.
That's all for my report.
Any other updates? Councilor Cotton?
Speaking of which, as Councilmember Watton brought up, regarding Snoqualmie Valley Health, Public Health District Number 4, Board of Commissioners, they, I know, have been very anxious to get shovels in the ground on their upcoming project. And while it was hoped to go forward last week, I think that with the permitting process and, you know, kind of the timeframes associated with that, but it looks like, and of course, weather's going to be much better coming in June. So moving forward, that's the game plan is June will be the next the date set for that. So more to come on that. One small note from Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife. A week ago, they came out with a new ruling about the public not feeding wildlife, specifically not to feed deer, elk, and moose. This is so that animals won't congregate and spread disease, but also so that in search of food that they're not crossing dangerous areas such as interstates and the like. So, so there's a strong recommendation to stop the backyard feeding.
Bears are still okay though, right?
Bears, because they're gonna break into those garbage cans anyway, so.
Say about bird feeders.
They didn't mention bird
I just,
feeders, which attract other wildlife, right?
you're invited to my house to have that discussion.
Thank you. Councilor Johnson?
I lost
On that, I believe that feeding deer and elk and stuff is also extremely dangerous, is my understanding. So don't do it.
Good idea. Any other updates?
The bears.
Right? Seeing none, the next item we have is an executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101I to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to potential litigation, lasting approximately, what do you think, maybe 15 minutes, 15 more?
Let's try
We're
it.
almost there.
We'll do 15 minutes. Those attending will include City Administrator Chambliss and City Attorney Burke. And possible action will be taken following the executive session, and recording of the meeting will pause. So after the executive session is concluded, council will return to open session at approximately like 8. We have to go upstairs, don't we?
8:10.
Yeah, 8:10. We need to go upstairs.
Yeah.
It's up to you whether you go upstairs.
Well, 8:10. So we'll decide whether we're going to go upstairs or not, but, so we will go ahead and pause the meeting. It's 8:10 and we're just coming out of executive session. Do we have a motion? Counselor Watton?
Thank you. I motion to amend the agenda to add 2 items. The first one is the interim agreement between the city of Snoqualmie and the city of North Bend regarding police services, and a second one, an interlocal agreement between the city of North Bend and the city of Snoqualmie for police services.
Second?
Great. It's been the motion by Counselor Watton and second by Counselor Washington. Do we have any discussion regarding those items? Counselor Watton?
Just some remarks. In January of 2025, Snoqualmie and North Bend entered into a renewal interlocal agreement under Section 2A, all terms and conditions of the 2019 renewal ILA and First Amendment to the 2019 renewal ILA end on June 1st, 2025. One of the terms of the agreements is that North Bend confers law enforcement authority to Snoqualmie police officers. To ensure the public safety, Snoqualmie is willing to continue providing police services to North Bend while the contractual dispute is dealt with, but law enforcement authority must be conferred to Snoqualmie police officers. And with June 1st quickly approaching, this is an appropriate thing to have the authorization from the council for the mayor to sign one of the 2 agreements, one of the 2 agreements provided herein.
Thank you. Counselor Johnson?
Do we need to vote on amending the agenda first and then do the motion to actually do all of those things?
Yes, so first we're just voting to
Right.
add the items to
That's
the,
fine.
those 2 agreements to the agenda. We're just adding them to the agenda. That's not an actual vote, yay or nay, for authorizing the mayor. The second vote is going to be voting yay or nay on authorizing the mayor. So
Okay.
right now it's just the agenda.
And then a motion would have to be made.
Thank
Okay.
you for the clarification.
So any discussion? Otherwise, going to vote to add this to the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And it's unanimous. That item is added to the agenda. Now, any discussion regarding the interim agreement or the new ILA between North Bend and Snoqualmie? Counselor Johnson?
Technically, do those need to be moved?
Yeah.
Oh, so moved. The
There you go. Oh, yeah.
interlocal agreement between the city of Snoqualmie and the city of North Bend regarding police services. And the second is an interlocal agreement between the city of North Bend and the city of Snoqualmie for police services.
I second that.
So it's been moved by Counselor Watton, and then second by Counselor Washington.
We look alike.
This is my 12th hour today, so.
Mhm.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
So 6 passing and 1 nay by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway. So the motion does pass. Thank you. And with that, there being no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
Moved by Counselor Johnson and second by Counselor Watton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, nay? It is unanimous and we are adjourned. Thank you.